Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gents. This is Defub21, and today we have some new, in this case, not a video game trailer, but video game footage to look at. This is a video that's been uploaded for a game you might have heard of it called The Last Night. It was shown off, I believe it was shown off in both the Xbox E3 press conference and the PC Gamer Show E3 kind of conference thingy on Sunday. It's relatively short. They showed it. It was a relatively short trailer of it at the Xbox show, but it was so kind of just attention grabbing. It's kind of an indie pixel art game, but the visuals are just stunning. That I just had to go and find some extended gameplay footage if I could find it and just do a video on it because it just looks amazing. So without further ado, this is the Last Night pre-alpha footage. It's about just under 4 minutes long. So we'll take a look and then I shall tell you what I think afterwards. Toodaloo. what is there to say? I mean, it's 4 minute long. It's not. It's basically, I think it's all the gameplay trailer or all the gameplay footage that's been released to date for the game, I believe. And again, graphics, in terms of quality graphics, quality of the art design is not necessarily an indication of the quality of the story being told or the writing. Certainly not an indicator of how good or not good or bad the gameplay is. But that just looks, bloody amazing. And, it's, and this has been made by an indie studio. I don't know how much publisher backing they're getting, if any. But that's what a high-end visual graphics-wise, visual art design-wise, that's what a high-end indie game now looks like. Or can look like. That kind of standard of visuals and art design. And it's just, frankly, gobsmacking. And to my mind, this is one of the most, in terms of the quote-unquote graphics / art design, one of the best looking and most kind of attention-grabbing and visually impressive games that we've seen so far at E3. I mean, it really is. Talk about, figuring out how to stand out from the crowd. I mean, Jesus. It really is. It's just incredibly, I'm very, very impressed with it. Now, again, that's not an indication of whether this will actually end up being, have a good story or actually be a good game or not. But it looks amazing. And certainly those sequences you see where the character's got a gun and you're shooting, and it kind of has, for those who remember it, it has kind of almost, certainly those bit where you see there's combat and the guy's holding a gun, aiming it and all the rest and shooting it. It's got almost a flashback-like vibe, I want to say. The original flashback on the kind of SNES and Mega Drive back in the day. Or SNES, as apparently as it's called in acronym terms in the US. It's pretty much sure here in Europe it's SNES is how it's referred to, Super Nintendo. But yeah, I mean, it's just, and I assume this is not going to be a cheap game. I assume this is going to be 20 quid minimum, which is not cheap by indie game standards. But bloody hell, I mean, this has certainly not been made by 2 or 3 people, I don't think, and I'd be gobsmacked if it was. I think it's probably been made by a team of, 10 plus. In other words, you've got a couple of developers working on the engine, or maybe an off-the-shelf engine, and then everyone else is kind of art design and all the rest. Because art assets take a lot of skilled labor to produce, and this is maybe an indie game, but it's a visually very impressive one. Very, very impressive one. I really am kind of, this is kind of my new Tokyo 42. I was very impressed with the trailer for Tokyo 42. The reviews haven't been, there've been a few criticisms of the game from a review standpoint, and I have yet to go out and buy. I think it's again, Tokyo 42 is on the expensive side by indie game standards, and I am cheap. Certainly a bit quite cheap at the moment, because I've got I'm not rolling in money. But this looks fantastic. I'm definitely going to be paying attention to this in the future, and I look forward to seeing some actual gameplay and the gameplay being explained, and even maybe seeing whether it's going to be, if I assume it's kind of a side-scrolling shooter / RPG game, or an RPG game with shooting elements to it of some description. Maybe even a kind of a point-and-click style game without the actual point and clicking stuff, perhaps, maybe. But again, the story, it will be interesting to see whether the dialogue is all written or whether it's actual, voice acting has been used. And again, you need to, for a game like this, the visuals might be great, the gameplay might be great, but with that kind of standard of visuals, you have to have a pretty high standard of voice acting, or it's going to undermine the whole thing. We shall have to wait and see what happens in that regard. But yeah, it looks amazing. It really, really does. This is definitely for me one to watch, and it's kind of it says a lot about the state of the kind of the press conferences from the platform holders to date, about how there have been a relatively small indie game, which is trailer on I think the Microsoft the Xbox show is like 1 minute and 20 seconds long, has standed out, to my mind, so prominently compared to all the big budget AAA stuff that's been shown. It's just, it just looks amazing. And so far this year seems to be a bit quiet on the particularly the console exclusives, AAA console exclusive side of things. Anyway, this is Defub21. I really want to hear your comments, what you think about this game, the gameplay footage, what you think its chances are being really good, any criticisms of it you might have as well. And let me know also what you have liked about E3 so far. And if for some strange reason you haven't subscribed to my channel and you haven't liked my video, please do so for more scintillating content like this. This is Defub21. Yeah, pretty impressed indeed. Signing off. Toodaloo.